Hello, everyone. You're watching Business Spotlight. I'm Mark Hunter, and today I'm joined by Rich Tinto of Tinto. So, Rich, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. My pleasure to be here, and yeah, curious to see where we go with this, Mark.
I'm curious to hear your story. So, yeah, let's get started then. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself then, Rich, and tell us a little bit about your business, Tinto, as well?
All right, so my name is Rich. I am just about 45, so 45 on the 12th of April. I am a dad to Roxy and Rafe, husband to Lindsay, bit of an amateur golfer, and responsible for Tinto Architecture, which is now amazingly going to be 20 years old as a limited company very soon. So Tinto does architecture, interior design, project management, and also construction health and safety. And we set up back in 2004 as a limited company. I was quite young and quite naive at the time, which was all good. And we operated in Aberdeen and the Shire, which was quite an easy market to operate in. 20 years later, I have learned lots and lots of lessons about the industry that I'm in, lots and lots of lessons about business. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I have, as well as growing up a little bit, taken a bit of a resolve to grow Tinto. So we have become a bit more strategic with the business, and I've taken a few steps into sort of leadership development, etc., all with the aim to just seeing how far we can go with it. Our strap line is to transform the world through place and space, and I think the more people we touch with that, potentially the better the outcome, or more people's lives we can touch, which always feels a bit cheesy when you say it, but I really believe in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Not cheesy at all, though. I would say, no, again, it's all about having an impact on people. Absolutely. And over 20 years in business, I've got no doubt that you have had a positive impact on people. And 20 years, that's a major success for any business to go 20 years. Um, so what's been the secret now? I know that there's probably not one secret to success, but
Yeah,
what's been
it's
the secret,
it's
or what's been the secrets then?
it's one of those where I always smile when I see the memes online about consistency and pressing on and things, but it always rings true with me. Those ones is that I wouldn't call it a dogged belief, but a real belief that if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you will get there. And I always qualify it a little bit, Mark, as well, because I know that it's not that easy, for people. And I've been there with, challenges in business and things going wrong. But actually looking back, I always feel so relieved and grateful for being able to keep going forward, to so I mentioned the naive part in the first bit. I think there's a naivety that comes at the outset that allows you to do that. But there's also that childlike curiosity now where it's like, well, I wonder what would happen if, and maybe learning just to be a little bit less scared of it, which I think is something that you learn as you get older, but some people kind of retract as they get older, I suppose. So there's that bit in me that's still a bit of a wild kind of 24-year-old that's just wants to see what he can do with it. And yeah, that bit around consistency really sort of sticks with me, that if you keep showing up and you keep moving forward, then good things will start to happen. And sometimes a good thing starts off as a bad thing, and sometimes a bad thing starts off as a good thing. It's that part of understanding that that's the way of the universe. And if you keep trying to do a good job, keep moving forward, then you can get to 20 years as well. I think is probably the message within it. So yeah, consistency, I think, is the one that I think sticks out most. And yeah.
I think that's a great message and a piece of advice to give anyone, who's looking to maybe go into business for themselves. Just the consistency, be consistent.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks for a great share there. Thank you very much. Um, over those years then, so 20 years then, has there been anyone in particular that's really been a inspiration to you, or
Yeah.
a coach, someone
Mhm.
who you've used to sort of, help you along
Yeah,
in that
I,
journey?
Absolutely, Mark. And I think, it's quite interesting. You sort of mentioned, those things that start off as bad things become good things and good things that become bad things. I think when I was really young, I had some kind of guidance from non-executives and people that, you almost felt obliged to having to have them in your business. And I think from a governance perspective, the early days, they were very good. They taught me a lot about how to show up and how to do business. I think what you learn from that is that sometimes that there is a tendency for those people perhaps to get their own outcomes out of what you're doing rather than to be there for you, certainly. And I think the point within that is to really trust your gut around those that you surround yourselves with. So again, the benefit of looking back on the last 20 years is that increasing ability to trust yourself, which when you talk about people that really have influenced me, my current non-exec, I've actually worked with 10 years, a gentleman called Alistair McGill, who has got a financial backing, but as well as being a friend and a mentor, Alistair's sort of corporate governance has been really strong. You talk about consistency, it's that discipline of having a monthly board meeting, sitting down, looking at the unfun stuff, looking at the numbers, looking at the problems, looking at the challenges that we face. So Alistair's been hugely helpful in that. But more recently, that sort of coaching and growth part is really, I think it was pre-becoming a dad, but actually my daughter is now 6, and I think that I ticked a lot of boxes in 2017, nice little business, better not call it Lindsay a nice little wife, but I just have life on camera, but nice little wife, family on the way. A lot of us have kind of reached that point. And I think being an entrepreneur, I was, that curiosity to see what happened next was like, right, well, let's yeah, let's find out a wee bit more. So I started something called Strategic Coach, which is a kind of global coaching piece. We do quarterly coaching, and that's around who, not how, and it's a bit more development around running what they call a self-managing business. And being in business for a long time, it's sort of like, okay, it's fast, it's busy, you're in it all the time, and you need to show up. But actually, is there a smarter way of doing this? So I did a bit of that, and I still attend Strategic Coach. But what that got me into was the world of coaching and the world of growth. So my self-help business coaching library is extensive in the room next door. I was introduced to a couple of people from that network, and I have been working with an executive coach for about 4 years as well, a gentleman called Steve Nicol, and that has again helped in terms of understanding myself, but also understanding the sort of journey of growth. And again, another cheesy term, but actually sitting here today thinking I'm probably more excited about the next 10 years of business than I ever was about the last 20. And I think people can do that. Certain people come into your life and can really change the pattern of it. And that can be, external things and all the conventional things like, partners, wives, children, colleagues come and go. But when you reach out and into that sphere of being a bit more curious about yourself, there's a whole community around that exists to kind of move you forward as well. So I'm kind of at a point now with it where there's a couple of people that I think have really impacted what I've done, but there's also this guy in the middle, that being me, who's now starting to kind of impact what he's doing as well. And there's a few things in that space that again I'm just sort of looking to now over the next sort of 5 to 10 years, and see what happens. So I don't even know if I've answered your question, but I'm hoping that I have in some shape or form.
Oh, you have. It's a great answer. And what you've told us there is, the importance of having,
Mhm,
or a coach.
mhm,
As you said, you've got an executive coach.
mhm,
People to inspire you. But you also talked a little bit there about mindset as well.
mhm,
And these are all
mhm.
very important factors of,
Yeah.
as being a business owner.
Mhm,
Absolutely. And again,
mhm,
action coach is all
mhm.
things that's part
For
of our
sure.
philosophy as well. So yeah, that's a great answer. Um, and you've kind of touched there as well, that you're excited about the next 10 years.
Mhm.
Um, can you tell
Yeah.
us how
For
how the business is looking for you in the
for
next
for
10 years,
for
or even the industry as well?
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of things. I think architecture and construction as an industry is a massively exciting space. We've lagged behind a lot of other industries in terms of digital transformation, innovation, etc. But there's a sort of groundswell behind the industry. And what's really exciting is that some of the kind of graduates and some of the younger people entering into it are so advanced with the technology that we require to build sustainable buildings. So there's a real coming together of all generations in the industry, which is really nice. And it's that kind of vertical pre-existence of almost growing into a role. And I don't know if you've ever heard the Peter principle, where you kind of get promoted to the point of incompetence, and actually that's really interesting within a lot of organisations. But what's also true is that there are a series of younger people coming into our industry who have actually the skills and also sometimes the leadership skills, a bit more empathy, a bit more kindness, a bit more environmentally minded, that with their application of what they've learned can be really powerful to the industry. So that's really exciting. And from a Tinto perspective, I think we want to kind of harness that. I view myself as being or coming towards the end of phase 2 of Rich Tinto. So the kind of bit before Tinto, the business, the bit of Tinto, the business, and then the piece that sort of comes after that. So for Tinto architecture, what we're looking at are things like employee ownership trusts, and for legacy sort of planning, I'd like to maybe do a little bit more in the business, but I'm not resolved to spending that much more time in it. I'd like to pass it on lovingly to others, and I'd like to personally perhaps follow that sort of leadership sort of journey. I'd like to retain an interest in what I'm doing, but there are other opportunities that are sort of coming along. And again, just being open to them and understanding that it's very easy to close the book on everything, and I suppose close the book on your life as well, and accept it is as it is. But I think next chapter stuff is probably where we're at. So leadership plays a big part in that for me. Yeah, just again, that curiosity keeps coming up around where could I apply the skills that I've learned to a slightly different sphere or a slightly different type of business. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, yeah. I really admire that. It's about giving opportunities to other people,
Mhm.
I think that's amazing. Brilliant. And you sound like a really good leader as well. I love that. I love that. Um
Learning.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And and talking about graduates then, you were 25, you were a
Mhm.
young architect, and
Mhm.
you've just started a
Mhm.
business then. I'm asking you to go back to that young guy.
Yeah.
What was it like then, taking
Ugh.
that, as they say, the plunge to go
So
into business for yourself? What was it like?
couple of qualifications on it. So I'm not a real architect, which again that's designed to inspire the no wrong pathers who think that they can't do something because of. So that's one thing. And as a 25-year-old, that naivety. I remember sitting with a guy that I did a bit of part-time study with and saying, surely we can do better ourselves. Surely we can make more money as 25-year-olds ourselves. And we got a couple of computers. We started drawing plans on the back of my parents' house, and just doing it. And I think as a 25-year-old or as a younger business person, that lack of fear to just do stuff is really strong. And perhaps that the number one barrier to anyone starting a business is perhaps that those feelings of inadequacy or fear or not being good enough. So I benefited from the naivety of it. Would I be so brave now? Maybe. Would I have chosen a different business in the future? Maybe, probably. But I am where I am now. And yeah, that thinking about what it was like. I mean, it was a whole heap of fun. I think we've probably been around 2 or 3 sort of startup phases as well. So we kind of business goes up and down as well. And again, it's that story of, this is not you don't go on a tangent that looks like that. It's this sort of bit, but you are moving. And again, if I look back to my 25-year-old self and me and my pal and 2 computers to now a team of 12, working the length and breadth of the UK, doing serious architecting now. Serious architecting, then I'm really quite proud of that. But not looking too far ahead as a 25-year-old is, if you were a 45-year-old, as I'm about to be, I would actually say that as well. A plan is important, a strategy is important, but actually, I think if you look too far ahead, you could scare the crap out of yourself as well. And I think that piece around, yeah, being in the present and having the confidence that you know what you're doing, although I didn't, but having the confidence to know what you're doing and using that to go back to the previous point to kind of keep moving forward, and have just a little bit of faith that something else will come along. If you keep putting good stuff out into the world, good stuff will come back. And I now believe that more than anything, that as the business has matured, that we're very fortunate to be selective about the type of work that we do. So the more stuff that we choose to get involved in, the more of that goes into the world. Amazingly, the more of that manifests itself back by some weird universal rule. The serious stuff in between it, like accounts and ops and targets and budgets and all that, but actually from a values perspective or a mission perspective is that self-belief that I've maybe developed is one that isn't easy to come by, has been shot a few times, but yeah, as a 25-year-old you had it in spades, and as a 45-year-old I'm probably just rediscovering it. So there's a thing.
Yeah. Again, it's that ongoing learning, and what that's normally my last question is about, is there any advice you'd give anyone? But you've given us lots of advice there, so you've just answered my last question. So what I'm now curious about, as we wrap things up here, is and again, there's probably been so many of them, but what's been the biggest learning as a business owner then for yourself over that time? And again, there's probably lots of them. So what's been the biggest learnings then as a business owner?
I think, trusting yourself and trusting your gut and being kind to yourself, a bit of self-love, a bit of self-care, a bit of think back to your 25-year-old self, your 15-year-old self, or your 5-year-old self, and think, how far have you come, right? How far have you actually come as a human? When you were 5, you couldn't even put your own socks on, right? Or you maybe you could, but think about that and think about it incrementally over all the little bits that happen. And back to that first point, if that can do anything to inspire people just to keep moving forward, and there's all those bad stuff, the pain, uncertainty, all that stuff that creeps into your mind, that's called being human. And if you can find a way that works for you, and it's different for everyone, I've got a couple of things that work for me, a couple of things I'm still working on, but if you can find a way to be kind to yourself and love yourself a little bit, then what you'll find is that it makes showing up every day a little bit easier. It just makes it a little bit easier, to get out of your bed and to look forward to the day, because you've allowed yourself to be. So yeah, I think that lessons around trusting your gut, because it's not usually wrong, and your head can try and rule your heart a lot, but actually just look below your heart to your gut and see what it's saying, and use that, and then remember that you're okay, remember that you're human, and remember that you've come a long way, and just so I can get that little glint of confidence or whatever, then I think that's probably, the one piece that it's taken me a long, long time to understand, but it's the one piece that beginning to understand that I'm back to that most excited about in the future is, what if I love myself a little bit more? What if I put that out into the world a little bit more? How much more might I achieve because I'm a bit more confident and because I'm a bit more curious, and I only focus in on work and things that I only really want to put out there. And I think, yeah, I think that's my thing at the moment, Mark. So
Absolutely love that answer. Again, I've asked the question about your learning, but your learning is also hopefully for anyone who's watching this, it's going to inspire them as well. And a bit of
yeah.
self-love and love yourself, and it makes getting up in the morning easier to do
Mhm.
the do is what you said. That's a great that's a great answer and
Yeah.
a great way, I think, to end end the interview. So yeah. Rich, you were going to say something there though.
No, it was just that little bit around, the add-on to that is, if you keep doing that work, it does come back. And it's not that you can't not do the work, because you have to do it. You love yourself to within an inch of yourself, and never get out of your bed. But if you do it and you do get out of your bed, then the work and the steps, if you're kind to yourself, can be easier to do when you're there. And I don't wish to leave anyone feeling that it doesn't require hard work. But you can work hard and still be kind to yourself and others. So that's all I want to add to that. So,
Absolutely,
mm.
absolutely. Again, another brilliant piece of advice, word and fantastic words of wisdom again from Rich Tinto, again of Tinto. So, Rich, honestly, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you so much for your time today. Really
My
enjoyed it.
pleasure. Thank you so much, Mark.
No problem. And thank you for watching. You've been watching Business Spotlight. I'm Mark Hunter. Thank you very much. Bye now.